Cougar Coaches Show on the agenda today. We're talking Cougar hoops, the men's side. My name is Cosmo, new assistant men's basketball coach under Bob Burchard is the coach Tomas Brock. Thomas, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to Columbia College. Welcome to the assistant coaching job. Where did you come from as far as your last coaching job before Columbia College?
The last coaching job was at Hillcrest High School in Springfield, Missouri.
And just spent just 1 year there at Hillcrest.
But made a run all the way to the title game. Came about 5 points shy of that championship.
Yeah, we had a fun run. We were a very young team and really had some struggles at times early in the season. Got hot at the right time, made it all the way to Mizzou Arena, and then fell just a little bit short.
That March Madness, sometimes it goes your way, and other times you just fall just shy of the ultimate prize. But had been a fun run to be able to take a team to a state title game in your first season.
Absolutely, yeah, and it was a great group of kids, and so that made it even more fun.
Now, before that run at Hillcrest, you had some assistant positions and some things in the college ranks a little bit. Tell the Cougar fans a little bit about your resume on that front.
Yeah, so well, I played and graduated at Southwest Baptist University in Bolivar. And then after graduation, I was a graduate assistant for 2 years at Northwest Missouri State in Maryville, Missouri. And then after that, went 1 year as a full-time assistant at East Central in Oklahoma, also at NCAA Division II school there, and then last year at Hillcrest. So been kind of all over the map. Excited to be in Columbia and hopefully maybe be able to stay someplace.
Those who recognize the last name of Brock, the obvious elephant in the room, if you will, your brother, Matt, had been the assistant for the previous 3 years with Bob and then has now moved on in conference, which should make the first, I haven't looked at the schedule to see when that first Columbia College MOBAB game is, but Matt's now the head coach for the Spartans over in St. Louis. Talk a little bit about the process of applying for the job here at Columbia College, and then ultimately, what kind of job interview does Bob Burchard put on?
Well, obviously had a connection, had a foot in the door. When Matt left, I knew early on, and he, asked me if I'd have some interest, and I did, just because I knew what a quality program that Coach Burchard ran, and what a quality college that Columbia is, and so when Matt left, he helped me to get an interview and an opportunity to meet with Coach Burchard, and then so I came up here to interview and spent some time with Coach Burchard, spent some time with the rest of the athletic staff. Just got a great impression from CC and Columbia in general, and knew it was a good fit. And
then the rest is history. You got the gig, and now it's practice time, and before you know it, we'll be tipping the ball off for some actual games. Do you feel, and we haven't obviously really, other than practices, but in some regard, obviously with Coach Burchard being around for so long here in the program, but do you feel any added pressure with the fact that your brother had the position before you, or how has that kind of factored into things once you've been here on campus?
Well, maybe not so much Matt having the job before, but just because of the continued success that Coach Burchard's had and several assistants have had with him, there's certainly maybe not a pressure, but an expectation to succeed, and hopefully we can continue that. When people ask me about that, I usually just say, yeah, I'm going to try not to screw things up. But yeah, hopefully we can continue to have that success that has been here traditionally, and I'm just going to do my best to contribute where I can.
Be a part of it. 26-7 a year ago, the Cougars under Bob Burchard, and 5 trips consecutive to historic Municipal Auditorium, and that's a big deal. There's a lot of teams in the NAIA Division I that compete for those spots in Kansas City, and for the team in an AMC conference that's been getting better 5 years in a row. It's quite an impressive run for the Cougars, being back in Kansas City 5 times in a row.
Yeah, it really is. And one of the things you mentioned, the conference really has gotten better and continues to get better. And we were just talking about preseason polls and with the addition of teams like Freed Hardeman and those types of things, it's going to be increasingly difficult to get to Kansas City. Obviously, that's a goal that we have, and hopefully we can make that happen this year.
Most definitely. And roster-wise, really not a whole lot of turnover. 4 players graduated, move on, and then 4 new guys coming in. The rest returning players, and I believe 6 or 7 are seniors. So a lot of experience, a lot of guys that have been here and kind of gone through the drills. Talk a little bit about meeting the players, both the new guys and the returning players. What that has been like, your reception with those guys.
Well, I think that's part of the secret to success that Coach Burchard's had here is not just recruiting good players, but quality young men, and we certainly have that in our locker room, and that makes it enjoyable to come to work every day. And so that was, and I knew kind of going into it from speaking a lot with Matt that was the case, that it was not only good players but good people. And then, you mentioned experience. I think that's probably one of, if not our biggest strength coming into this season. We've got several guys that have played important minutes in the national tournament or in conference play, not only just last year, but some that have played for 2 or 3 years. And so I think that's definitely a strength of ours. Hopefully we can build on that and kind of incorporate our new guys as we go and hit our stride at the right time.
And the fact that a majority of the team is returning players, and several have been around for a long time, with guards like Pep Stansel and Marcus Witt and Zach Rockers, especially leaders on this team, with Pep and Zach having captain's roles in the past. Getting into these practices, they almost become another set of eyes and coaches to really get these 4 new players into Bob's routine and what that off-season and preseason kind of routine is all about.
Yeah, I think it's been, obviously it's been a learning experience for me, but what has been very, good as a coaching staff is there's a lot of times when we don't necessarily have to overcoach, when we can kind of take a back seat. And you mentioned guys like Zach and Pep, whether it's just running a drill or showing guys, this is the way that we do things here. Or incorporating the offense, whatever it is, we can just kind of sit back and allow those guys to lead and teach their teammates. And really, when you have that, you got a chance to have a special team when you've got players that take responsibility and hold each other accountable.
Tomas Brock, the new assistant men's basketball coach with Bob Burchard, the Cougar basketball team, our guest this week as we talk Cougar men's basketball. And November 6th and 7th, I think, are the first games of the season, so it's almost here. What is your favorite part of coaching? What is your style of coaching that you bring to the bench over there with Bob Burchard at Columbia College?
Well, I guess the first question was the favorite part of coaching. It sounds cliche, but it really is just seeing not only a team develop throughout a year and continue to improve, but guys improve as players and hopefully if you're doing it right, as people and as students as well. And then for a style, I guess my style of coaching would be to try to encourage guys a lot and just give feedback, continuous feedback and communication with things that they can improve on and things that they're doing well. There's a lot of different ways to coach and a lot of different ways to skin a cat, if you will. But the big thing to me is that we're not just coaching strategy, but helping kids develop as people and players.
I know in the 3 years that your brother Matt was here, he kind of, as all the assistants over the years, as Sean Dooley before Matt did, have evolved and gotten more of the game side of things, not just in practice. I know one of the things that your brother really brought, and Bob always talked about it on this show, was the technology side of things. Is that something that you look to continue to bring with being able to scout even better and give the guys an even better idea of their opponents even quicker?
Yeah. I mean, you're always trying to look to ways to improve, whether that's with, one thing that we're doing this is we're moving to a new
video program, Synergy, which has just thousands of statistics and things that you can see that opponents do, right there at your fingertips. And I think one thing that my brother and I both share an enjoyment for is looking at analytics and looking at kind of the numbers side of things. And so moving into this position, I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel by any means because of the success that's been here. I'm just going to try to contribute and improve, hopefully on a few areas if we can.
There you go. 4 new players. I want to make sure I get their names right, so I'm going to grab my notes. Preston Whitfield, Nathan Biggs, who is a big, Jesse Brown, and Brandon Chambers. The 4 new guys. Talk a little bit about what each of those guys bring to the court and what Cougar fans coming out to Southwell can expect with those guys out there on the basketball court.
Well, so Preston Whitfield is incoming freshman for us from Fort Zumwalt South. Had an excellent high school career there. I think last year averaged like 24 points a game or something like that. Was an all-state selection for a very good team that lost in the sectionals of Class 5. He's a very good scorer. He can score in a lot of different ways. He shoots it well from the perimeter, but he also can penetrate and finish around the rim. And like a lot of freshmen, he's got some steps to take on the defensive end to improve, but he's beginning to do that, and he's a guy with a lot of potential.
I think that's one thing that they'll learn quickly. The freshmen, Bob likes to play defense, and a lot of it here at Columbia College, that's for sure.
That's probably the biggest jump from high school to college in general for guys. It's just kind of an eye-opening moment when you see, okay, this is the level of effort that I have to give on the defensive end.
I'm a point guard. I'm used to being able to just score. Now, wait, I got to do what? But that's true. What about Nathan Biggs?
So Nate is he's a transfer. He'll be a sophomore. He was a transfer from Millikan University last year, and another guy that scores the ball pretty efficiently. He does it in a different way. He's more of a back-to-the-basket guy, can step out a little bit and shoot. You referenced his name, Biggs. He's a big, strong kid. He's about 6'6", but wide shoulders and a big body, and not afraid to be physical. And we're looking for production right away from him as far as scoring the ball and rebounding. And
that's one thing, sizes. This conference, as we alluded to earlier, I know Benedictine's got some big kids. Everybody's getting bigger in the conference, and that's you just need to have that size as well as your speed up front. Yeah, I think you're just looking. You never really know until you play against them. You see them on film, but looking at some of the players that the conference schools have brought in on their roster, several guys, a couple 7-foot guys, several guys over 6'8", 6'9". So size is always a premium when you're playing basketball. Absolutely. Jesse Brown, talk about him. Jesse's another guy with some length and size, about 6'7", but really long arms, extremely active. Probably one of the most active big guys I've been around, just from running the floor, covering area on defense. Another guy that's probably a little more comfortable with his back to the basket scoring right now on the offensive end, but a guy that just kind of fills up a stat sheet doing something. It may not always be exactly what you want to do, but you do have to love his activity and energy. That's where practice comes into play, right, Coach? That's right. Continued improvement. And then Brandon Chambers, talk about him. Brandon is a transfer, and he's just a 1-year transfer. He'll be a senior. He transferred from Missouri Western, and a very smart kid, about a 6'3" wing guy. He can another guy with very good length, and does some very good things offensively. One thing that any team really needs is a guy that can just jump up and make a shot and jump up over a defense, as good as defenses are, and you need guys that can just make plays and make shots. Brandon has that in his game, and he's learning our system on both ends right now, and there's a big learning curve there, but like I said, a smart kid, and I think he'll figure it out. Is there one thing as we kind of wrap things up here with Thomas Brock, the new men's assistant basketball coach with Coach Bob Burchard at Columbia College, obviously knowing the program a little bit through your brother and his time here, but then after accepting the job, was there anything that just in the few weeks of practice that you've already had where you thought maybe things were going to be one way and all of a sudden you went, oh wow, all right, this is even better than I thought?
Well, I think there's been several moments where I've felt, I guess, better than I thought, or very highly about whatever it might be, and not just in basketball, but the school in general, and like I mentioned, the town of Columbia, that my wife and I really like. But it's every day brings moments like that when you're working for Coach Burchard, just a lot of opportunities to learn and to grow as a coach and a person, and very fortunate to have that opportunity.
How many Diet Coke runs have you made so far?
I haven't made any, but I don't know where. It's like an unending supply.
Keep stocking the fridge. Yeah, it's almost time for me to give him 700. When he won 600, I gave him 600 Diet Cokes, and they lasted till about, I think, February, and they were gone.
Yeah.
Most of that season, they were already gone. So, well, thank you for your time. Welcome to Columbia. Welcome to the bench, and good luck in the upcoming season. Thomas Brock, new assistant coach for the Cougar men's basketball team. Learn more about Coach and the team, the new players that we talked about, all on the website at ColumbiaCougars.com.